Now, I want to talk about the owner a little bit, and I want to talk about some things that some things that I learned from observing him. Right, this guy was one of the hardest workers that I've ever seen. Right, hard work was something that he had a strong relationship with. He would wake up the crack of dawn every day, and he wouldn't be leaving the office until the evening. He went really hard. He he would just bust his ass all day, every day, because that's what got him to where he was. He started off, and it was just him and maybe a couple other guys and one truck. Right? Him, a couple of guys, and a truck, and that's the whole company. That was the whole thing. Right? So, when you are a company of this size, what does your knowledge have to look like? Right? What's more important when you're a company of this size? It's hard work. Because your knowledge really only needs to be about the labor. Right? This can be a majority of the pie. And then the rest of it can be things like finances and right? It doesn't really matter what the rest of it is, right? Like you can like file your taxes as long as you know that you're making enough money to pay this guy and pay this guy and pay your bills. You're fine. Right? So all you have to know is labor. That's the only thing you need to know. But here's the thing. A lot of people tend to make this mistake, and it is the reason why a lot of businesses go out of business. Why a lot of businesses fail is because they don't know how to transition from this into a bigger corporation or into a bigger business, right? If you become an LLC and suddenly you're at the top, you're no longer going out on the jobs, and you've got someone who is managing several crews, right? And you've got, trucks to pay for, and a garage. And insurances, lawyers, administration. Suddenly, the knowledge that you need, right? Labor and like the knowledge of the job suddenly becomes a lot smaller. Suddenly, you need to know a lot more about finances. You need to know a lot more about how your information is being stored. And digital storage solutions, right? You need to be more in line with accounting, right? You need to understand more about administration and HR. And plenty of other things, right? These things end up becoming a lot more important than just sorry these things end up becoming a lot more important than this, right? You don't need to know. You can be the best at what you do. You can be the best at whatever it is that you're providing. If you don't know the others, if you don't have the skills to do the other things in the business by yourself, if you don't have a nuanced understanding of these things, then you're going to fail, right? Or at the very least, you're going to struggle, right? You're going to find yourself in a situation where you're relying on people to do things and you have no idea how to hold them accountable. You don't know what the end product is supposed to look like with anything other than this, the labor. You know what that's supposed to look like, but you don't know what your finances are supposed to look like. You don't know what your admin is supposed to be doing. You don't know where all of your receipts are being stored. You don't know or where plans that you've paid for are being stored, right? You've got things like subcontractors that need to get paid, right? You've got crazy overhead. All these things. It's no longer just about paying this guy and yourself and making sure that your bills are paid. Now you've got so many other bills, so many more people to pay, and so many more things to understand about a company. If you end up trying to do the things, if you end up trying to run a company and you get too big and you're not paying attention to what's going on in here, let's call this project management, right? Like, you can know what the labor is supposed to be like. You can know how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to know, you can know what it takes to get it done. But if you don't know how to manage other people getting it done, that's another skill, right? So if you are unaware of how to onboard new employees, if you're unaware of how to sort your own email inbox, if you don't know how to send your employees to somewhere with a proper work order to make sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing and they're not wasting time or company's time or money, if you don't know what you need to make in profit and what your markups need to be for material and for labor, your company is just going to be this nebulous thing that is either going to live or die based on how much revenue you can pull in to keep it alive. And that's a scary thing. You're basically riding on the razor's edge all the time. It's not something that I ever want to be doing. So that's why I'm as meticulous as I can be as far as my own finances, right? I don't just buy things and then not look at how much it's going to cost. I look at my bank account. I say, I have this much. My expenses monthly are X. My, this is going to cost a certain percentage of my allocation for food. Let's say I want to go out and get dinner with somebody. I'm like, okay, well, this place is probably going to cost me about this much. I round up a little bit and say, okay, can I afford this? Do I have any extra money that I can afford this? If the answer is no, then I don't do it. But if I didn't know what my budget was and I just looked at my bank account and I didn't know that my rent was coming out the next day and my utility bills were going to be paid in the next week, and I just said, oh, looks like I've got a few $1,000s in my bank account. Let's go out and splurge. Let's have a sushi night and I'll buy drinks. And then all of a sudden the end of the week comes, the next weekend I'm just like, man, kicking myself. It's a tough spot to be in, right? If you are growing a business, you have to shift what you know, and you have to constantly be picking up all these different things. You have to learn so many different things about your business. And if you can't, right? If you don't have the patience to learn these things, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. Running a business is a skill. If you don't understand all of the aspects of it, then you're not going to be as successful as you want to be.